Hey everybody, it's that time again for another Quick Launch live session. We're continuing our very valuable discussion on best practices, tips, and tricks around training, which is as important as the solution itself. So we're going to dedicate some sessions to this. And again, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments. If you're with us live, love to see a one. If you watch this on demand later, love to see a two. If you want to talk further, again, we only scratch the surface, folks, in 10, 15 minutes. Um, just reach out to us. Put a three in the comments if you want us to reach out to you. But if you want to talk about training further, our team would be thrilled to do it. So, without further ado, today it is my sincere pleasure to welcome back our training expert in pro, Miss Paula Frederickson. Hey.
Ooh, training expert and pro. I like that. No,
Mm-hmm.
and thank you for having me. I know this is typically a more technical discussion, but these other things, training, how to get adoption, all that is really, it's really important to the success of any project. So I appreciate you having me.
Yep, and we have a Ben, Jill, good morning, and Chase out there in LinkedIn land. Thank you for putting the one. So welcome, and let any questions you have, fire them on out. So sorry to interrupt you, Paula. I just wanted to welcome the folks.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. So last week we talked a little bit about adoption, and a lot of that was what about training? And so questions came up. Let's talk about some things you can do to make sure your training's a success. And the things I'm going to identify today and cover, it's nothing earth shattering or groundbreaking. You've probably heard this all before, but you'd be amazed that a lot of companies don't put any of them into practice or put a couple things in, and then they wonder why their training wasn't a success. So I'm just going to go through a few of those, and hopefully you'll pick up one or two things that maybe you can use next time. We've got little things you can do to make sure it's a success, and then you also have things that are common mistakes. So I'm going to talk through those, and hopefully you'll get a few pointers and can make sure that your training is amazing the next time you do that. So, can you share our screen there, Frank? Sorry, I
I
didn't realize that wasn't
certainly
happening.
can. I'm ready to share it. I'm just going to show the banner. Hope you get a few pointers. Here we go.
Perfect. Yeah, I was going through my PowerPoint. Nobody could see it. So those
Sorry.
are the two things we're covering today, little things you can do and common mistakes. So the first thing I wanted to chat about was what are some little things you can do to make your training a success? Uh, Top of the list is right people, right training. And it's really making sure that you identify who the people are that are going to be in that training. And sometimes training might be technical, so you want to make sure that the people in the training have the right aptitude and knowledge in order to do that. The last thing you want to do is throw somebody into a training that's maybe a little bit over their head and have them get frustrated, because a lot of times that frustration will turn to lack of adoption and a very negative feel about the product. So right people, right training. If it's end user training, that's great. Get those end users in there and, let them go through that process, but just make sure it's the right group of people for the training. Plus, training's expensive. You don't want to send the wrong 10 people to training and then have it not have to do it again. So it's really important that you identify them early. And part of that identifying them early is making sure that they are also very well aware of what's happening, why they're doing it, why they're invited to training. So that communication and socialization piece that I spoke about last week is key here for anybody that's going to participate in training. They really need to understand what's happening, why this decision's been made to go to this product, and how it's going to affect the company and specifically their jobs. So make sure that you're communicating and socializing the information.
And Paula,
Making, yes.
oh, I'm sorry, but I've heard you say before, and I thought it was valid when I've heard you say this. Be aware on your team what folks are a little more maybe receptive or open to learning new technology or something new, which ones are going
Mm-hmm.
to be a little more hesitant or maybe even, anxious about it, so that you can factor that into how much, I think, time or how long it might take them. And you just reminded me, I've heard you say that when you mentioned that very point. So I,
Yeah, that's totally true, Frank. Thank you for bringing that up. And, being aware and understanding who those people are in training and knowing how to support them after the training. Some people are going to take to it right away. They love new technology. They love new things. They're going to get after it and go crazy. Other ones might be a little hesitant and not as comfortable. So you want to make sure you've got the support built in for them too. So yeah, thanks, Frank. Good,
yep.
excellent point. Excellent. Knowing what your objectives and success measures are for the training are also important. And You know, everybody's like, oh, my objective is to get people trained. Yeah, that's great. But how do you measure that? How do you make sure it happened? And are you getting the value out of the training? So make sure that you've got some things identified. Are they supposed to create, in our situation, are there reports and dashboards they should have created by the end of training? Or is there a list that they're supposed to create by the end of next week or in 2 weeks? What are those objectives and success measures? Make sure that you know what those are and that you share that with the class.
Excellent points, Paula.
Where to go with questions or to get support. Oftentimes I see people do the training and then let the people, you know, all the trainers go out, or all the people that were in training go out, and they don't know where to go for help. They don't know who to go to. They don't know if they're supposed to enter a ticket. So make sure you've got that process well defined and that you talk about that either at the beginning of the class or at the end of the training class, so that they're well equipped to go back to their desk, their office, wherever they are, home, and start working, but also know where to go to get the support that they might need or get questions answered. Accountability and what is expected of each person in training is also important to make sure that you're educating them on. They need to understand why they're in training and what is expected of them. If they go to training just thinking, oh, I'm going to a class, you know, it's like to check the box on something, they're not going to take in the information like they should, and they're not going to be well equipped to use it or to share with others. So set that up, make them accountable, make sure they understand that they were chosen to be in the class. Oftentimes, not everybody gets to go to training. It's an honor to be in training, and there's expectations that go with that. So make sure they're aware of those, and it's very clear to them what they should be doing after the training and how they should be handling questions or going and training other people.
That's
Commitment to
the why. I liked how you said that. I actually saw the banner there. A lot of folks, I think they're more willing to adopt the training when it's clearly communicated what the goal for both them personally, their team, and the company is at the end of the day. You know, why it's going to be better. So I just wanted to elaborate. That was a really good point.
Yeah, and that's socialization piece too. Making sure everybody's aware of that makes everything so much easier. If there's less discussion, less pushback, less challenges, if that everybody's well aware of what's happening, why, and what's in it for them. You know, that's always the question: what's in it for me? Commitment to training is another thing. Right now, especially over the last few years, so much training has gone from, stand up training with an instructor at the front of the class to virtual training. And it's important that people are committed to the training that they are going to, meaning focused on the training, there to be in the training. It's so easy right now to have 2 or 3 monitors up. They may be doing email, maybe they're shopping. You have to make sure they are committed to the training and they are focused on what's happening. And one thing that we do here is we ask for proof of life. When we're doing virtual training, we want the camera or the mic, and we want both things on, honestly, because it's hard for the instructor to get a read on people without any voice or any facial expressions. So make sure the folks that you've identified for training are committed to that and willing to shut down their other things and pay attention to the training, and also that they will be there for all the sessions. It can't be, I go Monday, I skip Tuesday, I skip Wednesday, and I'm there Friday. They aren't going to get anything out of the training. And really, as I've said before, training's expensive. You don't want to waste that seat on somebody who's not going to be present for it. And then the last thing I have here on this, to help with success, is to create something like a center of excellence. I know that's a buzzword, or just a way for the community, the trainer, the people who are in training, to come together and help each other. So they can self-support, answer questions, give each other tips and tricks. And you really can, you create a special community that way where they're helping one another, and the growth within that community will be far better than if you let them all just kind of go out on their own. So that's another thing that's an easy success, easy way to find more success in training.
Excellent.
All right. So what are common mistakes? And these are things that you may have experienced in your own life or your own company. But one is the lack of direction post-training. And I've had a few customers in my lifetime that I've watched spend all sorts of money on training and get everybody trained up. and then they don't do anything after that. They don't set up any meetings. They don't set up any kind of expectations where they're, held accountable for getting certain things done, or, doing train the trainer with other, employees within their business area. That can kill, any advantage you had by doing the training. If you don't set up the direction and let people know what they're supposed to do after training, you could have just wasted your money and time. So that's very important. Wrong audience for training. I talked about right training, right people. That's key. Also the wrong audience. If you've got the wrong people, if you've got a management group in there perhaps, and in our situation, we're creating reports and dashboards. If those people won't have the license to create reports and dashboards, or won't have the time, they probably aren't the right group. You want to have the subject matter experts who understand the data and who are in there really ready to start building out those reports and dashboards in our scenario. So make sure that you've got the right audience in the training. If you don't provide specific outcomes and objectives, you're also gonna, you're not gonna be able to measure the success of your training. So this goes back to the first slide where, you have to have those identified. And by not having those identified, you're really hurting yourself and the adoption that's to come. So make sure you've got some of those identified. If you're having a hard time figuring out what that should be, work with your partner that you're going through the training with. I bet they have a list that they can share with you and help guide you through that. And that will just make everybody who goes through the training aware of what's expected and make everything that much more successful.
Mm-hmm.
No executive sponsorship can also be a huge mistake. We ask for all of our training sessions, we ask for the executive sponsor to come in the first day and do a 10 or 15-minute kind of introduction about why the product was chosen, why they're going through this process, what's in it for the company, why it's important to them, what they think the outcomes will be. And it really sets the stage for all of the people in training. They understand the reason that they're there. And again, people in training, it's an honor to be there, whether they think that or not, but they're chosen for that. And it gets everybody on the same page and kind of fired up to move forward. And it just makes the training more successful. People are more tuned in and ready to go. And then the last thing I have here, which I see all the time, is the exercises and examples aren't relatable. And that can, again, that can kill the training. If you don't have things that are relatable to the audience that's in there, so it might be a specific business area, it could be a use case, whatever it is, make sure it's relatable and they understand it, and it's something that they go, oh, I get it. I do that every month. I do that every day. Or I could see how this could make my job better. It's really important that you focus on that and that you ask, whoever's doing the training to bring that in so that it helps emphasize what's happening with, within that training class and ongoing. We ask here at Preferred Strategies, we ask for our customers to bring in specific examples of reports and dashboards, and we actually work on those during the class. And the goal is that by the end of the class, they have reports and dashboards they can walk out with and begin using immediately. And it's just a great way for them to see the success. They've built them themselves, they understand what they've done, and now they can go out there and show their team all the great things they created in just this short class, and then it really gets everybody fired up to move forward. So those are my list. Again, it's nothing that you haven't probably seen before, but I can't emphasize enough how important it is to make sure you're not making the common mistakes and that you are incorporating some of those ways to get easy success. Did we have any questions, Frank?
No, well, first, great job. I'm going to clap for you and for the audience that can't because they're muted. But a lot of people love the proof of life where after the camera's on. That was really great. Some great positive comments around what executive sponsorship looks like and having that support and how key that is. So a great reminder there. And the only one I would bring up, Paula, I think is, and you kind of alluded to it, I believe, on the common mistakes, but post going live, when you hit that milestone, we're up and running. A lot of people think we're done, next project, but training never really ends. Could you expand on your thoughts around that?
Sure, and that's an excellent point. There's a couple of things. You really need to set the expectation and set time aside for those people to work within the product and make sure that they are getting the support they need to continue to build and grow. continuing education is something that we focus on heavily here at Preferred Strategies. We have a QuickLaunch community site that has all sorts of articles and videos to continue with that education and let that user community continue to grow in their knowledge and upskill. We also do like customer education sessions twice a month.
Right.
So those are some things that we do, but it's important for the company, to set aside time and allow those people to focus on some of those things to continue to grow their knowledge and skill set.
And Paula, we just had one last question come in. I want to see if we can squeeze it in, then I'll wrap it up as we're at time.
Sure.
But this has been awesome. And by the way, folks, spoiler alert, I'm going to try and get Paula back for a final one next week. So stay tuned. What kind of follow-up is good, weeks or months after the training's recommended?
Weeks. You don't want it to go too long. You want to know internally, you want to be following up. I would say weekly, given some check-in points, make sure things are happening. You're going to know which users are really being successful and which ones might need a little extra help. If you wait a month, you may have lost a lot of time and they're going to forget things. So you want to check in immediately and get after it right away.
Excellent. Well, Paula, I really look forward to next week with you. I think you had some great advice. I love the energy I'm seeing in the comments. So heartfelt thank you. Great job. Folks, tune in next week where Paula continues this discussion. And I think a hint might be around what does success measures look like. So we will learn more and enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. We are Preferred Strategies. See if I can get up there. We are all about your data. Have a great day.
Bye, everybody.
Take care.